Hi, I'm Dr. Dan Ratner. Today I'm joined by Zev, a mind-body pain sufferer since the age of 12, and he really had to work at it to make Sarno work, but he got it done. Here's my conversation with him. If you haven't already, click subscribe, ring the bell for notifications, hit like if you like what you're hearing, and put your comments below. And finally, you can reserve your place in one of my seminars, join my monthly membership group, or purchase any of my mind-body guides, also known as the PDFs, at www.crushingdoubt.org. Now, without further ado, here's my conversation with Zev. Zev, thank you so much for taking the time to join us. I know you have recovered from a host of mind-body issues. I want to hear all about it. And let's just dive right in, but thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me. It's great to be here.
Okay, so tell me, let's fill in the viewers on what you were suffering with. How long did you suffer in a kind of more chronic sort of way? And when did it start?
Okay. So it goes back a while. I started when I was 12 years old. Basically, I went snowboarding, fell a whole bunch of times. Next day, I was sore, super sore. Whole body was sore. And I figured that was normal. Kept being sore for a few days. Soreness started to wear off, but I was still very sore on my lower back. And that just didn't really go away. Just kept was there, and that probably lasted like a month or two. Eventually decided it was time to see a doctor. Went to an orthopedist. Doctors recommended, take an MRI. Results came back. Went to see the doctor. He looked at my MRI, and herniated disc, spondylolisthesis, fracture, all kinds of stuff. Doctor basically said, Zev, you're probably going to be in pain the rest of your life.
Oh.
And he recommended we can do some conservative treatment. We can try physical therapy, wearing a back brace. So that's basically what I did. I was a big basketball player as a kid. So I started wearing a back brace when I was playing sports, just throughout the day. I also did a ton of physical therapy. And none of that really helped. And I'll just say, in general, I tried pretty much everything out there to try to heal the pain. I was basically in chronic pain for around, I would say, 11 years until I found...
Starting at age 12.
Starting at age 12, yeah. It wasn't until like my junior year of college that I heard about Dr. Sarno. The recommendation came from my brother's mother-in-law's coworker. Heard that I had back pain. Said she'd get on the phone with me. She told me all about Dr. Sarno. At that point, I had kind of tried everything: yoga, meditate, physical therapy, chiropractor, ice, heat, everything you can think of. I kind of tried it. Nothing was really working. The pain was just really bad. I'll just say, for all the pain sufferers out there, I really feel your pain. I was in pain almost every single day, almost every hour for like a decade. I know how bad it can be. And the reason I wanted to get on here was just to show people there's hope and you can get out of it and you can heal from the pain. It took me 11 years to find Dr. Sarno and that methodology. But when I did, it started to work, and I got out of the pain.
So Zev, I'm going to ask you some questions, and I want you to just take us in any direction you want. There's no wrong way to go here. But I'm curious about a couple of things. One, a lot of people, they discover Sarno, and for some, they get relief quickly. For others, it takes some time. What was it like for you?
Yeah, so this is actually a really big point that I think I differed from a lot of people. You read in the books, a lot of people read Dr. Sarno's book, and then a month later they're healed, or a day later they're healed. I've met a lot of people who've been healed like that. I've met people who takes a few months. I've met people who takes longer than that. For me, it took a long time to be fully healed. It probably took me 3 or 4 years before I was 100% no pain. I when I read Dr. Sarno's book, I definitely saw myself at every single page of his book, perfectionist, goodist, all the different traits. And I did start to heal a little bit, maybe 20%. And then once I ended up seeing the Dr. Rashbaum, who you had on your podcast. He's great. And I made an appointment with him. He took over Dr. Sarno's practice. And after seeing him, I maybe saw another 10 to 15% reduction. And then I went to he does 2 lectures on TMS. I went to those. And after seeing Dr. Rashbaum doing the lectures, I was probably like 50, 60%. And then I just kind of have to keep up with the work, journaling, reading Dr. Sarno's books, I recorded Dr. Rashbaum's lectures, listened to those. I just kind of kept doing the work, and over time I kind of got to that 100%. And today I don't have any back pain. But actually, I'll also add that when my back pain did go away, I started to get a whole bunch. You've probably heard of this before, the symptom imperative. I got a whole bunch of other symptoms, pretty much everything in the books. My wife makes fun of me sometimes, like, headaches, skin issues, neck pain, kind of everything kind of traveled to other things. And every single time that happened, I just kept reminding myself, Dr. Sarno's method. And to this day, no matter kind of what comes at my way, I'm able to heal using Dr. Sarno's method.
It's a great story. And Zev, it's important that I have people on like you who didn't get the book cure, where they read it and they got better quickly. I keep trying to explain this to people. Listen, I love Dr. Sarno. He saved my life. But I also took some time. I did get significant relief very quickly at a certain point, but actually that was when I read The Divided Mind. That was months after I read Mind Over Back Pain, his first book. It takes some time to metabolize, and then it took a couple years, really, before I really grasped it in a certain way. And I don't know how much you know about my work, but I'm curious as to how you'll think about it in relation to your own experience. My work focuses, let me ask you, how familiar are you with my work?
Yeah, I've watched your podcast, seen a few episodes. First of all, I just want to say thank you for all the work that you've been doing to bring this to light. This stuff is like super important. And I think, I've mentioned this before, but looking back one day, I think people are going to look at people like you, Dr. Rashbaum, Dr. Feinblatt, Dr. Sherman, and they're going to look back the way we kind of look back at Freud and Darwin and all these people that kind of changed everything. I think this stuff is really going to change medicine. It's going to change healing. We're just not quite there where enough people know about it and it's being practiced. And there's plenty of reasons why it's not being practiced, which you probably know about. But yeah, just thank you for your work. And I've watched a whole bunch of podcast episodes, so they're really awesome.
Well, thank you for that appreciation, cheering me on and the high praise. And, it is a big part of my mission is to get people to understand this. So glad you feel like it's going well. I do see that we're making progress. But in my work, one of the ways that I came to understand why I didn't instantly get better in every way and why these book cure ideas are really only part of the equation is that I came to understand that whatever my belief system was about these things was actually the dominant factor in what was happening, whatever it was. And what your story to me mirrors that, because you got some understanding through Sarno and your pain reduced, I think you said about 20%, something like that. So a certain amount of knowledge, a certain amount of certainty, a certain amount of clarification brought your symptoms down. But it didn't bring it down all the way because I think there was more to go. And then when you visited Dr. Rashbaum, it seemed like you got another leap forward, another chunk of information. Maybe it was from his lectures, but something brought it to closer to 50%. I guess my point here as I listen to you is that it really does seem to be that there is a massive correlation between our belief system, where we are with our understanding of it, and where our symptoms go. Would you agree with that based on your experience?
Yeah, definitely. I think you need to kind of, over time, get rid of the doubts. But even more than that, I think maybe Dr. Sarno says this, or it could have been Dr. Rashbaum, that what takes time, our brain might understand logically that there's a lot of truth to what Dr. Sarno has been saying, but it takes time for our heart, for our subconscious, for our unconscious to really take it all in. And that's where all the work comes in. You kind of have to keep doing the journaling and keep doing and reading the books. And I've probably read The Divided Mind like 10 times. I've journaled about, so many parts of my personality, childhood memories, daily stresses, all that stuff. I've done that, probably over 100 hours of journaling. And all that work, it's not so much about it being perfect and getting to the exact root cause of your unconscious rage or whatever it is that's sort of causing the pain. It's really just about doing that work. And over time, that's what changes your belief systems. That's what really gets into your unconscious mind. And that's what really all happens. So it's really, really just about doing the work and not giving up and keeping at it. There were definitely times where, a month or two in, I was like, is this really going to work? 6 months in, I'm like, why am I not, why do I still have back pain? And I just decided I don't really have any other option right now. I've tried everything else. This has brought my pain down a little bit, at least. I'll just keep going. And if you just keep at it, eventually you'll get to where you need to go, and you'll get to that 100% pain-free. But it takes a lot of time, and just don't give up and keep trying things. Keep speaking to people. One thing I did, I read like the Amazon reviews on Dr. Sarno's books. And it's like review after review after review is like, wow, this book changed my life. This book worked for me. And just reading it over and over again, eventually the pain just goes away. And it's almost like magic in a way. It's weird. It's like you don't kind of like for me at least, I didn't like one day wake up with no pain, but it was like slowly the pain just went away. But it was just weird. It's like, I'm just journaling, I'm just reading a book, and suddenly my pain is going away. It kind of went against everything I'd ever been told about back pain.
Right. But if you think about it this way, Zev, and I think this will resonate with you, but if you think about it, let's just say from a fear standpoint, because fear is one of the main forms of doubt that I talk about. If you think that pain is a response to fear, then it stands to reason that slowly but surely, as you bring down that fear, the pain will go away too. And to me, that's what happened for you. I don't want to overinterpret or tell you what happened in your experience, but that's what I'm hearing essentially. And I think it's useful maybe for us to take it out of the realm of it's magic, even though it can certainly feel that way. That's how it felt to me too. It's really great if we can connect it to this idea though that it's not magic. It's all, and I know it's not. It's all about reducing that fear and doubt in a kind of more broad perspective. And to me, that's what happened for you. Does that feel right?
100%. And that takes a lot of time. And I think when you said fear, what kind of popped in my head was all the fears I had of everything that I'd been told prior. So like I had a lot of fears of sitting. My doctor told me that sitting is really bad for your back. You're told don't bend down, told you have to stop playing basketball, never go, snowboarding again, never go, never do this, never do that. And you have all this fear. And that kind of just sticks with you. And, if for 10 years I had been told that I shouldn't sit or for too long, or, don't do this or don't do that, it takes a long time to get that out of your system. And, you just kind of have to keep at it and eventually get there. But slowly that fear does go away. So I definitely resonate with that idea. And that's been a big part of my journey.
Were there particular insights or understandings or maybe even exercises you engaged in that got you a big leap forward, even though you were kind of just trying to work at it? What were the big things that you see looking back that got you to a different place?
I would say the biggest things, I kind of mentioned it, seeing Dr. Rashbaum. Really, when you have a doctor who's trained, who knows what he's doing, he's seen thousands of patients, and he tells you, hey, your back, it's not your herniated discs, your spondylolisthesis, all that stuff, that's not what's causing your pain. That sinks in a way to your unconscious mind that just reading a book doesn't. So that was one thing that really propelled me forward. Another thing was, I don't know if you've heard of Dr. Nicole Sachs.
Oh, sure. Yeah. Love Nicole.
Yeah, her work is really great. And I guess her big idea that I took from it, at least, was when you're journaling, don't censor yourself. Just, say what you need to say, get it all out there, rip up the piece of paper when you're done if you need to. But it's really, really all about just like trying to figure out what you're angry about or what you're repressing, and kind of getting to that point where you can just stream of consciousness. That really helped me.
Yeah, in my system, I have the 3 columns, and in the emotions column, I say it has to be a judgment-free zone. And I think that's, in a way, what Nicole Sachs is saying there. Don't bring judgment to it. Have it be completely wide open to exploration.
100%. And and just like completely change the way I thought about things, because you kind of have this voice in your head that's like, don't say something like, I'm really mad at my sibling, I'm really mad at, like, you kind of just, you don't want to tell yourself these things, you feel guilty about it, but then you kind of learn it's okay to say, okay, I'm really angry with this person, or I'm really anxious about this, or whatever it is. And you kind of learn to tolerate the harsh feelings, no matter what they are. And it's by tolerating those feelings, that's what kind of gets you to the next phase, where you can say to yourself, whatever I'm feeling, it's 100% okay.
It's a really interesting point, because it's not just about discovering the emotions underneath. It's about not being afraid. There's fear again. It's about not being afraid about whatever you might find there. So it's the openness to the whole emotional component. And I also resonate a lot with what you were saying about seeing Dr. Rashbaum. For me, it was incredibly important that Dr. Sarno was an MD. I came in feeling this is a physical thing, which of course it is, but it's not just a physical thing. To have Dr. Sarno, for me, it was enough coming from Dr. Sarno, but having guys out there like Dr. Rashbaum or Dr. Elisa Batson, Dr. David Hanscom, we have many people like this, and having them out there is so great. And I think it's so great how the doctors and the psychologists and really all different fields are starting to come together on this. But it does make sense that you gotta believe it for yourself. And something about the medical doctors speaks to some of us, certainly did for me, and it really helps. So I'm just thrilled that you got the help that you wanted. I'm honored that you came here to share your story, and I think it's going to help a lot of people. And in particular, the fact that you didn't have a book cure, you had to work at it, and you had to keep yourself from losing hope at certain points and just keep at it. That story about reading the reviews on Amazon is a great one, because it shows how you were like, this is right, isn't it? This is real, right? You had to keep checking. And that's what it's all about, is resolving that doubt any way that you can. So it sounds like you did a wonderful job.
And I would just add that your brain is kind of against you. Every time you think, okay, this is TMS, there's like that the voice somewhere in the background. Maybe it is that herniated disc, or maybe it is that, real structural issue that's causing the pain. And you just kind of have to keep reminding yourself and keep telling yourself, this is what Dr. Sarno, it's that way of thinking and that modality, and that's what's going to get you there. And also, it's, like I said, doing the work. And yes, seeing the doctor is really important. But I think what's so empowering about TMS is that it's something that you can actually take control of, and you can become responsible for your own health. This is a big trend out there to talk about mental health, but mental health really does impact every single part of us, including our physical health. And if you work on your mental health and you do all the things to keep that in check, you're going to have better physical health. And that means journaling. That means, getting therapy if you need to get, exercising, getting good sleep, all the different things that kind of lead to good mental health. That helps to keep you with good physical health. But also, I'll add to that, you do also need to read Dr. Sarno's books, because just going to therapy, if you don't understand the Sarno stuff, it's not going to work. You have to you need that knowledge. The knowledge is really the cure. That's the main cure. And then all the other stuff that kind of adds to it.
Beautifully said, Zev, and thank you so much for joining me here and for sharing your story with me and all my viewers. And I think you're going to make a difference in just having shared this. And so happy that you are better. Can't believe you suffered since you were 12 years old. I'm very excited that you get to live a nice, full life without all that fear and pain and suffering. So thanks again for joining me, Zev, and we will keep in touch.
Okay, thanks so much for having me.
I really enjoyed that conversation with Zev for multiple reasons, but one of the reasons that I liked it so much is that I know how important it is that he's not one of these people who got that instant book cure. You got to hear about somebody who had to work through it. And as I heard him talk about it, it was very clear to me that doubt was playing a key role. Now, of course, that's how I often see things, but really, I look at it over and over again in every single person. And our belief system is the determining factor in what gets us there or not. And you've got to figure out what works for you. Just like he said, it was seeing Dr. Rashbaum was a big breakthrough for him. Each person's going to have different things that break them through. But whatever your belief system is, that's the thing that's going to get you there. If you haven't already, click subscribe, ring the bell for notifications, hit like if you like what you're hearing, and put your comments below, and we'll get back to you personally.